One of the most important techniques in Japanese cooking is knife skills, also sourcing of ingredients. But I think what makes a chef really, really good is if the menu makes sense from the beginning to the end. Kaiseki is the most formal way of dining in Japanese cuisine. And what I like to think that we're introducing into this format as well is a different perspective in creativity. I think when I wanted to bring Kaiseki to the forefront, there was this idea in my mind where when you close your eyes and you ask a person to think of a Kaiseki chef, there was no image that they could immediately come to mind. And I thought that would be amazing to be judged not for what people imagine you should be, but what you already are. That was one of the reasons that I wanted to do Kaiseki, but the biggest reason is I just love tasting menus and I just love Kaiseki. So here I have Aori Ika, which is squid. So we're doing a version of Ika uni ae, which is squid and uni as a modern style sashimi. So the modern Zukuri is one of my favorite dishes to put together because we always get to utilize Japanese sashimi courses but presented in a completely different way. In my opinion, there are so many parts to an ingredient. It's all wonderful. It's all perfect. It just needs to find the right setting to showcase it. Like, for example, the body of the squid is going to be best eaten sashimi, but the sides are most delicious grilled. And then the squid legs can best be enjoyed when you tempura fry them. So it's about understanding how to utilize each ingredient because none of it is less than. The squid is chewy and a little bit sticky. I'm cross-hatching it without slicing through. And this method tenderizes the squid significantly so the guest can enjoy it without feeling it bite back.
So these are the sea urchin that we got in from Santa Barbara. And this is a smaller variation closer to the kinds that are native to Japan. Delicately cutting the top round out, we hollow it out and actually use the whole entire thing as a vessel. And then the meat, the uni that we extract from the inside, we make a sauce out of it. It almost looks kind of like extraterrestrial.
So the uni is very soft and tender. They both have this amazing sweetness to it, as well as a very mild ocean flavor. They enhance one another and bring out each other's amazing qualities. We have the beautiful yuca chips that Michael painted for us, fried, and we are now dehydrating. I feel like the colors pop, everything just looks really great, and I think when our guests see it, it just makes them smile, I hope. I fell in love with Kaiseki when I was 19 and I was traveling to visit relatives in Japan. They sat me down and served me dish after dish. And I was like, what is happening? This is so amazing. And I thought it would be so amazing for people to experience this in the States because we had nothing like it here. When I was opening in Naka, I had this field of dreams experience where I was like, I'm just gonna do it and people will come. It's just a big dream, but you believe in it so much that you want other people to believe in it. I think sometimes, with the outside accolades and things like that, you can get lost if that's all you're striving for. For me, I feel that the biggest reward that I get is when our guests have a good time. Our Kaiseki is 13 courses. We always say it's like Kaiseki inspired because it follows the format, the philosophy, but we're interpreting it our own way. I'm gonna get some dashi that was made today and steam these artichokes up for tonight's mushimono course. Because I'm born and raised here, I really wanted to showcase this experience of what it's like to have this dual culture. So artichokes are something that you'll never really see on a Japanese kaiseki menu, especially in Japan. For us, because this is such a big part of our California landscape, we really wanted to utilize it. And then when Carole and I first started working with artichoke, we were amazed at how much it was so similar to bamboo. So we're doing the same technique, but just a different vegetable. And of course, with artichoke, it's not the same flavor profile as bamboo. So it's natural for us to have reference to what we've experienced. spinach and artichoke being a classic combination that we've all had growing up. We make a spinach and artichoke manju, which is kind of like a rice cake. And then we're serving it with a golden ice snapper from Japan. So the part of the fish that we're using is just the meat itself. We take the bones sometimes and have it enjoy a soup for a staff meal. The flavor is light, but it's still really nice and comes through. Gonna take out the belly bones and debone the fish. He's gonna get 7 orders per side. Golden eye, right? You can eat it. Every part of the fish is edible. It just depends if you're willing to eat it. Maybe in 20 years.
Remember it that way? Yeah.
It's the 7th course on our menu. It's super delicious. When we're discussing what the guests might like to eat or how we can introduce something, it's always like as gently as possible.
Yeah, I think there's certain textures in Japanese cuisine that aren't as familiar to Western guests, but are so important to our food. But we know that it's not for everyone. I think in small doses, everything should be tried at least once.
So Carole's my life partner, my wife, and she's also my partner in the kitchen. And we've been working together now for 12 years. There's no one I trust more, whose opinion matters more.
No, it's good. The big idea. That's what she's a visionary at, I think. You know, she can imagine a feeling that she would like to come through in a dish, a flavor that she would like to see come through. And because I know her so well at this point and I understand our cooking style so well, it's very easy for me to then take those crazy ideas that she sometimes has and like make them more realistic and practical.
She just nods and doesn't really give me a good yes or no. And then I'll make it and then she'll be like, it's not done. I appreciate that.
Jay, can you steam up one more, please?
We start out with things that are more like creative and interesting and exciting because that's such a great way to introduce our ideas to our guests. And as the menu flows through, then it moves to something that's a little bit more comforting and a little bit more familiar. The abalone pasta is a constant on our menu. Our guests really love it. You don't find pasta course in traditional kaiseki. On the menu, it's noted as shizakana, which is a chef's choice, not bound by tradition. And I think about my first experience with pasta. It was just a fun thing that my brother put together with top ramen and ragu sauce. And I thought, this is the most amazing thing I've ever had. What is this combination? And then my love for pasta grew from that. I thought that it made sense on our menu because it's a representation of my personal experience. When we were asked to do Chef's Table, we were so naive in what we signed up for.
The very next day after it aired, I think that's when we realized, like, oh my God, this is gonna be crazy.
We used to have the phone here forward all the phone calls to my cell phone. And the moment it aired, the phone would not stop ringing, that it got so hot, I had to turn it off. So
it was just mind-blowing and very scary, but also just like, there was no time to think. It was just like, we just gotta go.
We sat our team down and we told them that no matter what, you guys can't mess up and you can't make us look stupid. But most of all, I think we wanted to really live up to what the guest expectations would be and to do our best to not let people down.
That was the first time I feel like people who were dining with us fully understood the concept, other than, oh, it's a tasting menu. Most people back then didn't even know what kaiseki was at all. So that gives us the ability to just be authentic to who we are without worrying about it being misunderstood. There are scrap pieces from the Wagyu that can't be used for steak, and so we kind of blend that into a meatball with some other spices and panko and stuff, and then we utilize it on the Zensai to showcase that there's going to be a Wagyu coming up later on.
So with Zensai, and there are 7 little dishes. Even though it's the table of contents, it's actually the last dish that I compose, even though it's the second dish of the whole meal. We want to think through all the ingredients that are going to be on the menu. We want to make sure there aren't repeated flavors that you're going to experience.
Yeah, so this is the white asparagus from Holland, and we use it on a couple of courses right now, the sunomono being one of them, and then also the Zensai. When you take that first very fibrous layer off, you'll notice that like, oh, it's very tough. You take that second layer and you notice there's like this beautiful sweetness to it, and so we didn't want to waste that beautiful flavor just because it's not edible in its original form. And the Zensai really is about that Japanese concept of mottainai, which is like to not waste any part of the fish or any part of the ingredients. And we basically cook the soy milk with these scraps in it to infuse it with the flavor. And once that sets, it's just like tofu.
In the beginning, of course, without Carole, it was a lot more unorganized, but as time has gone by, there's a lot more intricate details that go into it. We want to make sure that every single piece of dishware is the right piece of dishware that goes on it, which I have hundreds of in different styles. What makes sense for the season, the colors, the shapes.
The accents that go with this plateware are a couple slivers of clam and a little fan of green asparagus for garnish.
I think my goal every day is how to make what we're doing even better than before. Just continuously find ways to improve, even if it's just a micro improvement. How to make this experience for our guests that have been coming to see us for so long still find joy in it and still discover something new. I always feel nervous in claiming to be a forefront of anything. I think their food has been around for so long, we're all just reimagining them in the way and reinterpreting them in ways that make sense to ourselves. I think the most important part is whatever chef story that they're trying to tell, that is very honest about where it's coming from. It was and is still a very personal story that I wanted to tell about my experience growing up, having a love for these two worlds that have shaped who I am. My dream is to retire when we're at the top of the world, to end this work here on a really high note, and then relax, go on vacation, play more video games.